Now, before we get back to the sound bites, demonstrating to you that there is something going on here with Kasich staying in from the establishment standpoint, I have to share this with you. Mark Halperin, who is the producer of this Showtime show, we played the sound bites from yesterday, with the establishment Republicans at dinner complaining about Trump. Well, the guy can't talk. He's not articulate. He doesn't have a straight thought. You know what he's doing. All he's got is a bunch of damn votes. Well, Halperin was on MSNBC yesterday morning, and he said that Donald Trump is the most talented candidate for president he's ever seen. Mark Halperin, well-known leftist mainstream media guy, said Donald Trump is more talented than Barack Hussein O. And Eugene Robinson, the Washington Post, was stunned. He couldn't believe this. He said, you don't include Obama in the list? Halperin said that Barack Obama was in third place. Trump is one of the two most talented presidential candidates any of us ever covered. The other one is Bill Clinton. He said, look at what Donald Trump does every day to defy. It's just in terms of pure political skill. He said, you cannot overestimate. He said, Trump doesn't have advisors. He doesn't have strategists. You know, David Axelrod and Plouffe worked for Obama. And Clinton had James Carville. Donald Trump doesn't have anybody. He is his own foreign policy advisor. He is his own domestic advisor. He's got a media person. He's got a spokeswoman. He's got somebody who deals with the media for him, and that's it. Everything is him. He doesn't have any analytics people. He doesn't have focus group research. He doesn't do polling. Everything is raw political instinct, Halperin says. He's got no back rooms. He's got no career-oriented consultants. He's not running an ad campaign. He's not spending any money. And he's running rings around everybody. That's Mark Halperin. And all of that's true, by the way. And it's another reason why there's such frustration. Trump has blown up every rule. Just stop it from the consultant's angle. Look at the political consultants business. One of the most famous political consultants, what's the guy's name? Snurdly that ran John Kerry's campaign, Bob Shrum. Bob Shrum has never won a race. And Bob Shrum is reputed to be one of the greatest campaign consultants on earth. He ran Kerry's presidential campaign. He's run a bunch of them. He's been on TV as an expert analyst about campaigns. And then you got Mike Murphy on the Republican side. But these guys are all over the place. And they get rich. They place all the advertising, and they usually get 15% of all the budget. That's the agency commission. It's what they get. That's how many of them get paid. So the more money the candidate raises, the more money the candidate spends, the better the consultants do. And these guys are the experts. Mike Murphy, for example, Sharon Angle and Christine O'Donnell. He's out there saying, okay, all right, fine. You think they're going to win? They can't possibly win. They don't know what they're doing. They have anybody like me running a show. And he was pretty much being truthful and honest. I mean, but it's a closed club. And these guys go from candidate to candidate to candidate. Trump doesn't have one. Can you imagine? In football terms, this is the equivalent of having a quarterback so good like Peyton Manning. You don't need an offensive coordinator. You don't need a coach devising a scheme. Your quarterback's good enough to do it. So these consultants, just them alone, oh my God, my job's in the line. He got a candidate here showing we're not needed. It's this kind of stuff that's on the line here, folks. Trump can't win. If Trump wins, it makes so many of these establishment people look and seem irrelevant. In jobs, they have succeeded in convincing everybody are necessary, to the point that everybody just accepts that they are. I have a minor way of relating. When I started doing talk shows, Everybody and their uncle said, well, you have to have guests. No, I don't. Well, you can't do a show without guests. What do you mean? Everybody does it. I said, that's why I don't want to. But you can't. Even when I started in Sacramento and didn't have guests, and the ratings started looking good, there were still people say, this is going to last. You got to have guests. They were still trying to get me to. And they finally said, why don't you want guests? I said, for one simple reason, everybody else does. And there's no guest that cares anywhere near as much as I do about the success of my show. And besides, these guests are going to be on every other show. And why are they on their shows? They're not on those shows to promote the shows. They're on the shows to be promoted. They're on those shows to sell a book. They're on those shows to hype a TV movie episode, what have you. So I was never, plus I wanted to, it was make or break time for me. I needed to find out if I could be the reason people would listen to radio, not a bunch of guests, not a bunch of promotions, giveaways, contests, records, this kind of stuff. But the point is, I was fought for 3 years on it. You have to do guests. And I said, I don't want to. And I was one of the most fortunate things that happened to me was to have a program director back then who backed me up on it. It's rare. Well, that's what's happening here. There's so many things that are just assumed that a candidate has to have. Employees, staff, you've got to have a foreign policy advisor. You've got a bunch of advisors. You have a consultant, you've got to have this. And all these people come from the establishment. Not Trump.